America's champ here, and I just want to take a moment and have a toast to Father of the Year, Dustin Poirier. Nothing says role model and family man like being arrested for public intoxication at 37 years old at 6:38 p.m. on Father's Day. Cheers to you, Dustin. Next time, try an ice-cold Real American Beer Zero. Same amazing taste as Rab Light with zero alcohol. It's great for people who want to be social and not get blackout drunk and act like Louisiana swamp trash. Hit me up when you get out of the slammer and I'll get a pallet over to you, buddy. Cheers.
This is going to happen. We're fighters. You hurt someone, you go for the finish, this stuff's going to happen because you're trying to go for the finish and you're just, you're going for it. I'm not saying I did it on purpose, but I felt like the refs, maybe, Herb, I love you, mate, but I feel like you should have been pretty vocal. Watch the back of the head. I remember looking and he'd seen a couple of men and he wasn't. And I'm like, it's not even telling him to watch the back of the head. I'm like, oh, what's going on here type of thing. But that's how many shots to the back of the head was happening, that I would seen a couple, then went to look at the ref to see he was even saying anything. Oh, he's not even saying anything. Looking back, man, he's still going.
You don't feel like there's something with Cyril, or is it just like, look, this is a chaotic sport and it happens?
Well, I also think that if you watch the fight, it's undeniable that he got hit with some strikes to the back of the head. But in the middle of the action, when it's going on and guys are rolling around trying to get out of it, sometimes some fouls happen, and maybe Dean should have said, hey, watch the back of the head, or, warned him or something like that. But, I don't know.
Yeah. Two more quick ones from me. Have you reached out?
I can tell you this. Alex Pereira is not a whiner. And Alex Pereira doesn't complain about things or make excuses, after fights. So I have to believe that he believed that he truly believed
The fight game is built on unpredictability, but the last few days have brought a wave of absolute chaos that nobody could have anticipated. Between massive behind-the-scenes corporate disputes, staged altercations completely shattering the illusion of bad blood, and one of the most beloved veterans in the sport suddenly facing legal troubles, the landscape of the organization has shifted overnight. Fans are used to the drama playing out under the bright arena lights, but the real stories are currently unfolding in police stations, corporate boardrooms, and private training facilities. Dustin Poirier has spent his entire career building a reputation as the ultimate company man, a dedicated family father, and a relentless warrior inside the cage. But that pristine image took a sudden and heavy hit over the weekend. Reports surfaced that the Louisiana native found himself in serious trouble with the law in Atlanta, Georgia. According to police records, the 37-year-old was detained and booked on misdemeanor charges related to public intoxication. The timeline shows he was taken into custody just before 7 in the evening, spending several tense hours behind bars before finally being released late into the night. What makes this situation incredibly strange isn't just the nature of the arrest, but the absolute radio silence that followed. Poirier is usually highly active, communicating with his massive fan base and breaking down fights on his regular Deep Waters podcast appearances alongside Jorge Masvidal and Din Thomas. Yet, when the latest episode dropped, Dustin was entirely missing, quietly replaced by Rashad Evans without a single word of explanation. The community is left in the dark, wondering what actually went down on those Atlanta streets, and if this sudden incident will derail his future plans in the lightweight.
But it should be a talking point. I'm not taking away from Gunn. I feel like maybe if Herb would say, watch the back of the head, he would have maybe, I didn't realize I was hidden, maybe he would think, or he'll try better to get around.
But the matchups, the stylistic matchups, they're very different. You have on the cards a potential rematch with Carlos Praxis. That would be massive. You have on the cards there's potential. Arguably the biggest fight you can make in the sport at a certain point is a potential rematch with me and Shavkat Rakhmonov whenever he's able and capable to come back. If he ever comes back, I told you, if. You have a potential matchup with me and Michael Morales, Gabriel Bonfim. You have Sean Brady's in the mix. You have Medic coming up. The welterweight division is the greatest it's ever been. And it's the most stacked it's ever been. It's the best division in the sport right now. There's no arguments about that. From top to bottom, the best division. When I'm the champion of the world, there's going to be more activity. There's going to be more high-level fights. The fans, everybody. I'm promising you now, it's the best thing for the sport.
Уже вчера ночью я видел, что многие паблики закинули твой поединок. Можешь ли ты подтвердить это сам против Сона Ядонга?
Подожду, пока UFC
Ну, если говорим про этот бой, тебе этот бой интересен?
Конечно, мне интересно, он мешок. Он как подрался с Умели? 3 раунда он умер. 4-й раунд ему колено уже в лицо ставили. Как ты дерешься? Я не считаю его высококлассным бойцом, честно тебе говорю.
А бой с Петром видел его?
Может, да, видел, скорее всего.
Division. But while one superstar's deal with the fallout of a bad night, a massive corporate battle is silently waging behind closed doors. And it involves the very equipment fighters use to protect themselves. For years, the community has watched in horror as brutal fight-ending eye pokes altered the course of championship matchups. Renowned striking coach Trevor Whitman spent years developing a revolutionary, curved glove designed to force the fingers into a natural downward position, practically eliminating the risk of these devastating fouls. Fighters who have tested them claim they are vastly superior, offering unbelievable padding and structural support that completely outclasses the current mandatory gear. Yet, the organization has consistently refused to adopt them. Dana White previously claimed that Whitman was demanding a staggering, completely unrealistic sum of money for the patent, allegedly asking for numbers climbing into the hundreds of millions. It seemed the deal was completely dead in the water. However, the narrative has violently shifted. Executive Hunter Campbell quietly reached back out to Whitman just weeks ago, desperate to reignite negotiations. With the current contract of the organization's gear coming under heavy scrutiny, there's a massive push to finally get these life-altering gloves into the cage, leaving everyone wondering who is actually telling the truth about the money.
Didn't like that did that. I'd probably be a lot more clear with how I'm saying this, right? Because there was a lot of. I'm talking more than 10 shots, maybe, because it was clear watching it live, I thought. Very clear. We need to have that discussion. Yeah. And we're having that discussion. And if Pereira's asking for people to speak about it, here I am. I'm not taking away from Gar, but that instance, we need to have conversations about that because that was pretty...
Demetrius Johnson said it, but that's what I would do. That would be an amazing ending. What else does he want to accomplish? He did it all. He did it all. Of course, he will, for money, if you stop now, you have under the impression you leave money on the table, maybe. Because you're fighting for a title, but and I'm sure he can still beat a lot of guys. Maybe he can still go on a roll because he still can do it. But health, I think, is the priority, and also the fact that, man, when you're a professional athlete in combat sport, it's very hard to retire on top because you're always tempted to see, I can do one more, and you probably can do. But man, what a magnificent way to end a career it would be for him.
That behind-the-scenes deception bleeds perfectly into what fighters are actually willing to do for a paycheck and a headline. Jamal Hill just dropped a massive bombshell that has fans completely questioning the reality of modern fight promotion. Hill casually announced that he is abandoning his current weight class and moving up to join the Titans in the heavyweight division, immediately setting his sights on the terrifying knockout artist Sergey Pavlovich. But it wasn't his change in weight that broke the internet. It was a stunning confession. Remember that incredibly tense, viral altercation between Hill and Alex Pereira at the Performance Institute back in 2024? The one that had fans convinced there was deep, boiling hatred between the two? Hill calmly admitted that the entire encounter was completely scripted. They meticulously planned a confrontation, acting out the hostility to artificially inflate the hype and skip the line for a massive payday. He confessed that behind the cameras, there is absolutely zero animosity. They are friendly. They check in on each other's families. And the supposed bitter rivalry was nothing more than high-level theater designed to trick the masses. And that shocking admission absolutely infuriated other fighters who pride themselves on authenticity. Josh Hockett immediately took to social media to absolutely blast Hill for breaking the unwritten code of the fight game. In his eyes, if you were going to fake a rivalry, you take that secret to grave rather than exposing the business. But Hockett didn't stop there. He immediately pivoted his rage toward Alex Pereira, delivering a bizarre and highly personal rant. He demanded a happy Father's Day message from the champion, claiming total dominance over him, and demanded a violent showdown at Madison Square Garden this November for the BMF title. The tirade then took an even stranger turn when Hockett randomly targeted Cyril Gane, making wild accusations about Gane wearing a thong while mowing his lawn, before demanding a fight in Paris. It was a chaotic, unhinged string of call-outs that left the entire community bewildered, proving that the mental warfare in the sport is reaching completely unprecedented levels of weirdness. But Alex Pereira has far bigger concerns than internet trolls demanding holiday greetings. The terrifying knockout artist is openly hesitating to step back onto the canvas, and it has absolutely nothing to do with fear of his opponents. Pereira is deeply terrified of the current state of officiating. Recent events have exposed a massive flaw in how referees are handling the action, specifically regarding illegal strikes to the back of the head. Fighters are getting brutally dropped by shots that land directly behind the ear, an area strictly prohibited by the rules due to the immense danger it poses to the brainstem. Pereira watched the recent Andre Philly scrap, noting that the devastating finishing sequence was triggered by a blatant, illegal blow that went entirely unpunished by the referee. The champion realizes that stepping into the cage means put his life on the line, and if the officials are unwilling to enforce the foundational rules designed to prevent catastrophic, life-altering injuries, the risk simply isn't worth the reward. It is a sobering reality check from one of the most dangerous men on the planet, highlighting a massive institutional failure that needs immediate fixing. Meanwhile, the drama surrounding the lightweight elite proves that money and pride can complicate absolutely everything. Arman Tsarukyan secured a massive, life-changing payout by placing $1 million wager on Justin Gaethje, walking away with nearly $6 million in pure profit. Tsarukyan attempted to show his appreciation by purchasing a high-end, custom truck for Gaethje. It was meant to be a legendary flex, a symbol of ultimate wealth and respect. But Gaethje flat-out refused the gift. Driven by pure, stubborn pride, Gaethje stated he would never be caught dead driving a vehicle purchased by a potential future opponent, especially a man who didn't even have the courtesy to shake his hand. Faced with a brand new customized super truck that the intended recipient completely rejected, Tsarukyan made a brilliant pivot. He announced he was putting the truck up for a massive giveaway to his loyal fan base, instantly turning a deeply awkward rejection into a monumental marketing victory. It's a hilarious, high-stakes game of ego, but beneath the surface, it's clear these two men are on a violent collision course, and the bad blood is already boiling. That same psychological warfare is going to be the absolute deciding factor in the upcoming mega fight announced for UFC 329. Conor McGregor is officially set to return to the cage against Max Holloway on July 11th, a rematch years in the making that has the entire world holding its breath. But legendary champion Georges St-Pierre offered a chilling warning to the Irish superstar. GSP broke down the harsh reality of training camps, stating that McGregor's immense wealth and status had become his absolute biggest weakness. When you are the boss, you surround yourself with people who agree with you. You control the environment, the pace, and the intensity. But inside the cage, chaos reigns supreme. GSP warned that if McGregor doesn't completely surrender his ego, step down from his pedestal, and allow his coaches to drag him through absolute hell, he is walking directly into a massacre. Holloway thrives in deep, dark waters, and if Conor's preparation is built on comfort rather than suffering, the fairy tale return will end in a nightmare. And speaking of stepping into the unknown, Ian Gary is attempting to write his own history by calling out the absolute boogeyman of the sport. Gary is slated to challenge Islam Makhachev for the welterweight crown on August 15th at UFC 330. But rather than relying solely on his elite striking, Gary made a statement that borders on sheer madness. He openly welcomed the idea of Makhachev taking him down to the mat. Gary wants to dive headfirst into the champion's world, eager to prove that he can survive the suffocating, world-class Sambo grappling that has crushed every man before him. He wants to show the world he can get back to his feet and violently bounce Makhachev's skull off the canvas. It is a level of supreme confidence that borders on pure delusion, a massive gamble that will either cement Gary as a legendary generational talent or expose him to the harshest reality check of his young career. This extreme confidence isn't unique to Gary, as the narrative surrounding Ilia Topuria's recent performances proves that perception isn't always reality. For weeks, rumors circulated that Topuria's training camps were deeply flawed, suggesting he refused to bring in high-level sparring partners to avoid challenging his ego before a fight. Critics argued this arrogance was the sole reason for his recent setbacks. But Jorge Masvidal completely shattered that narrative, revealing inside information directly from Topuria's conditioning coach. The truth is, Ilya brought in absolute killers, elite European kickboxers and seasoned veterans, pushing himself to the absolute limit behind closed doors. The issues in the cage weren't born from a lack of preparation, but perhaps an overabundance of confidence in his own chin. It's a dangerous line to walk, and hovering right at the edge of that line is Alexander Volkanovski, who made it crystal clear he is more than willing to step up and fight Justin Gaethje for the lightweight gold. Volkanovski is playing the patient company man, refusing to beg for the opportunity, but confirming he is ready to go to war at a moment's notice. The pieces are moving rapidly on the board, and as the dust settles on stage beefs, massive wagers, and shocking arrests, the landscape of the fight game has never been more volatile.
I deserve to be compensated for what I have done.
100%.
Not for what I'm going to do, or I shouldn't have to fight next to be UFC 300, UFC 324, and now this. Those are the biggest stages that the UFC needed somebody to do something phenomenal. And they picked me every single time, and I delivered. I wasn't the main event of UFC 300, but co-main event still stole the show, even though I lost. And so I think I need to be compensated for what I've done. That's where I'm at.
So you're
But
talking about in the future for like a next fight?
Like,
yeah,
Рокки как будто Ядонг, ну, неплохой. И мне вот реально
Это
интереснее
тоже
было.
единственное, что у него банка есть, и все. Больше дальше что у него есть?
Какая-то... Что-то у него есть точно, не просто так же в UFC дерется Самару.
Для меня это, ну, я как вижу, для меня это легкий бой, но я, конечно, буду готовиться, чтобы унести его. Нет никакой недооценки, но не знаю. Слабовато.
А какой он сейчас, ты не помнишь, какое место занимает в рейтинге?
Он третий, наверное, что-то.
Слушай, неплохой. Удивительно, что ты так о нем отзываешься прям.
Я вот сильно расстроился. Когда он подрался с Омель так.
Да.
Очень сильно расстроился. Такой равный бой был, но не знаю, я их обоих так недооцениваю.
Ну вот примерно.
Ну, чтобы недооцениваю, они как будто, знаешь, как унесу их